Get your spring cleaning ready. I go back about almost 20 years, scary to say. Owned a landscaping company. In the Northeast, it's spring cleaning time. Okay. What does that mean? It means you're going to go out. You're going to call me up. I'm going to come out. I'm going to clean up all the leaves, all the gunk you got all over your beautiful lawn. Spring cleaning time, right? So if you're not with it already, if you haven't gotten your shit together by now, because we are in April, folks, right? We'll give you some ideas for day. But it is that time. If you're going to get it going, you better start now.
Exactly.
We'll talk about a little bit of cleaning up, some ideas. Craig even said, I remember did a video. I think it's terrible. I just started doing videos. Less is more. It's like a YouTube video like Sam Ovens. Less is more. And actually it was a pretty good video. But we could talk about less is more. The realization of is it takes time to realize that you don't have to do that much, right? Less is more. What can you cut out, right? That's affecting everything you're doing. iPhone, my dog's going a little bonkers in the background. Apple has a thing that tells you your time on certain apps, your phone time. It's pretty scary if you see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when it's like your screen time went up 30%. Now, I unfortunately watch a lot of YouTube videos on my phone and when you're working out and all that stuff. So mine is a little crazy. So I wonder what it really is. But something to look at. What can you cut out of nonsense, right? TV. I cut that out a long time ago. I've been watching a little bit, but now I only do it a certain amount of time and only do it at night to kind of shut my mind off to go into this fake world of Game of Thrones and shut off the mind thinking of the regular stuff. But what are some of the things they could do, Craig?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, it's April already. So, if you haven't thought of, kind of taking a fresh set of eyes to your business and thinking about, what can I do? Are there, new networks I can develop? Is there a new simplified pitch? Is there a new angle I can take? Are there new resources that I can develop? Not another new shiny object to add to the list of shiny objects that almost nobody buys, but makes you sound really smart. You need stuff that is going to develop your value proposition, your marketing, your sales effectiveness. Are you investing in yourself? I mean, if you haven't done that by now, investing in yourself isn't necessarily just going to a bunch of conferences. No, I mean, sadly, you have to figure out where you can get exposure to really solid advice on things that are going to improve your business.
Yeah. Hey, try a non-insurance event because you'll see the tech space. They know what they're doing, right? What is the revenue goal, right? So as you're doing this spring cleanup, some of the things that, we had to do from a spring cleaning standpoint, right? We're hiring new people. We got to look at processes and procedures. We've been doing it the past 3 months. Messaging, something I was working on today was messaging, simplifying it. You're too deep into what you know and the way you speak, and it sounds great. And then if you talk to somebody else in the industry, it all sounds good. It sounds sexy, but it doesn't sound sexy to the person that doesn't understand anything about our business. And so how could you take some of the messaging that you're doing and figure out how can I simplify this, dummy this down, and make my girlfriend, wife, or whoever, husband, boyfriend, understand this at a simplified level? Chat GPT, what I was using today, Chat GPT for, was taking some of our stuff and saying, simplify this wording, rewrite this. Okay, take this out, rewrite this here, and seeing what it came up with. That's going to be lower knowledge to the insurance world and try to get it to make sense for what we're selling, but to layman's terms. So maybe cleaning up some of your, because we get tied into the acronyms, you get tied into the things.
We get used to it. We think everybody knows it, but everybody doesn't know the stuff that we do, and you got to get away from that. And so that's a good source to say, hey, how can I write this so that a fifth grader would understand it? I mean, it's really fascinating how very specific you can get with Chat GPT.
And maybe recreating that sales deck, which can be your track to go on, whether you use it or you don't. It's your track that you're going on as a sales deck, right? Sales story, whatever. And again, simplifying that, always chopping it down. You may even want to start it over and go, okay, here's a slide that I need. Here's 4 or 5 slides that I need and let me build around them and try to make this in 20 minutes. Guys over at Seamless.ai that learned their mastermind, they got their demo, which is their pitch, down to 20 minutes, 7 minutes of collection, 7 minutes of product knowledge, and then 7 minutes of closing. So how could you tweak that down, to get that to a sense of shorter, sweeter, layman terms, and more pivoting on the closing side versus running out of time in the meetings because you're going through so much detail, which we'll be talking about, by the way, on our next webinar workshop that we got on, I believe it's April not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. I believe it's April 18th, if I'm not mistaken, 2 p.m. Eastern at 11 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be covering how to sell the story, new sales strategy, how to cut it down, trim it down, sell self-funding in that first meeting, how to make it short and sweet, the overview, so on and so forth. We'll give you a little template there on the workshop, what to go through, what points to hit on, and some of the questions to ask to get more engagement, right? Because if you're on the call right now, it's tougher. It's getting harder on some of these Zoom calls where people are just sitting, waiting for the pitch. They're not engaging as much. They're burnt out from Zoom. And you really got to get them engaged with certain questions. And you got to use questions that everybody else on all the other Zoom and the things we're sitting on are not using. Okay. So spring cleaning, simplify by writing down the questions that you ask right now and rewording them, retweaking them in different ways to get the answers that you want. Use different language, ChatGPT, pump it into ChatGPT and say, give me 10 different ways to ask this question. Boom. There you go. It's pretty interesting. I was using it again today. Completely amazed by the software, but I think it's getting an upgrade like 1,000x of what the speed it is now, which is
it's incredible, man. It is incredible. You said a good thing there. It's like just try to use different language and test it out, right? So I talked to a guy today. He was an older gentleman and a lot of experience and been doing benefits the same way forever. I said, well, let me just ask you candidly, does your benefits program act as because this was a small, for me, small rural hospital. I said, is healthcare a competitive advantage, or you just offer, the same stuff everybody else has? You have the minimum must-have benefits. Yeah, we got a low deductible PPO with a high premium. We got a high deductible with an HSA. We got that too. And he said, yeah, I guess when you put it like that, yeah, healthcare wouldn't be a competitive advantage. I said, so when you look at making changes, and I pulled up a slide and said, here's what everybody's been doing for the last 15 years. I call it a benefits buy down strategies. But just let's think about this for a minute. What could you do to transform the experience for your team members when they used the medical plan? What do you think that would look like? And then I painted a picture and said, well, what do you think they'd feel about that? And so just a different way to have a conversation. You guys should explore it. It's easy. People want to have a conversation. They want to be listened to, but everybody, pretty much kind of goes about it the same way. And so it's the same kind of Q&A. And so, try to be creative, and you could use ChatGPT to go, what should I ask a CFO? What should I ask an HR manager? What should I ask a benefits manager about? And it'll give you just tons of ideas.
Yeah. I mean, you're revamping spring cleaning, just refresh your head on some of the questions, start thinking different way. You go back to the basics again. I think from the start of January, our goal was, we're doing a show for the 5th year here, is let's go back to the basics and take a lot of these episodes and pull from last time, give you the reminders as salespeople, and use this for basic training, because that's what we need to hear. And from a budgetary standpoint, marketing standpoint, how much money are you going to spend on marketing? What is your goal? I hate to use the word goal, but what do you want to close a new business this year? Is it $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is? Have the number in your head and stick to the number. How much are you going to put behind that? All right, I'll put $10,000 a month behind that, but you got to get your ass spending the $10,000. Start throwing the money at things to figure out things to work. It may not work for a while. The money we spend on things that don't work is wild, but we tweak it and we figure it out. So start spending the money. Don't try to save some of the 10. Start spending it and learning it. I was talking to a broker earlier. He's got HR consultants that they're paying. They got P&C people. They got business development people, and they're kicking ass. They got cold call. They got everything going on. They're naming it, claiming it, framing it a program, and they're going to be marketing towards that, which we're going to be helping them with from a telemarketing standpoint because their block is so big with us. But they've got their path very clear as to, okay, here's our goal from a marketing standpoint, which is, guys, it's all marketing, right? Forget about the product for a second. Even if you sold fully insured and you know how to market well, you'll make a bloody fortune. So whatever track that you're going on, the group buying, you're going with virtual health. That being said, you got to do some marketing here. So really figure out what the hell you're doing moving forward. I was reading I was watching a video the other day, and I like to read the book. Where is it? The Daily Stoics, right? Stoicism. Pull it up. Give it to you here.
Able to bear pain.
Daily Stoic, right? Very simple, low attention span. It's 1 page per day that you read. It's like a Bible. It has a little thing, right? And you read it every day. What I look at it was, I heard somebody say, is it's like refreshing your mind. It's like cleansing your mind from all the nonsense, all the work, all the social media. I feel like I'm cleansed after I read, because I read it in the beginning of the day. I think about it. I put it aside and I think about it and think of ideas and build it into my head. So spring cleaning, clean your mind every day. Your mind is so full of shit in today's world with people trying to get your attention, like on this show. But, people are trying to get your attention and consume your mind, right? That's the new oil, is attention. So clean your brain, clean your business, sit down, escape. I went away last week. I got some time to think instead of being in the minutia, and think through, what the hell do I really want to do? Do I want to grow the company? Do I want to go after this? Do I want to expand this? Do I want 2 salespeople, or do I want to go to 20, right? Do I want to have 20 employees, or do I want 50 or 100? What do I really want from my life? What's going to give me the best life that I want? And I don't just mean from a money standpoint, because you can make money either way. It's from a lifestyle standpoint. So what do you say, Craig?
Exactly. Yeah. You don't, just because you grow in employee count doesn't mean that you have more time. It doesn't mean that you have more profit. It might just mean that you have more overhead, right? You remember our speaker a couple of years ago, right? He goes, we had 54 employees and I wasn't making any more money. And I probably worked more than before. And so, you realize experience is a great teacher, and you got to determine what's most important to you, right? Do you want autonomy? Do you want to control your lifestyle? Do you want to feel like you have mastery over your business? What is it that you want? You want to build a big business and flip it? Hey, take action, but you got to take time. That's part of the reason the spring cleaning. It's kind of like, take a minute and think about what you're going to do to work on your business. Because what tends to happen in this industry is everybody's so busy working in their business, they don't take time to work on the business. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to, I think you're going through the spring clean, and you need to think what you actually want. We talk to a lot of advisors. We got a lot of advisors on the calls that we speak to on a daily basis, and everybody has their own thing. And sometimes, I made the rookie mistake and thinking, well, why don't you do this, or why don't you do that? And you realize later it's not what they want, right? And they're happy. They're in a certain part of the country. They're making $500,000 a year. That's what they aspire to do, and that's what they want. You can't knock people for what they want, what makes them happy. But you got to decide, what is it you want to do? And I realized, okay, I understand how to sell. I could sell. It's a contact sport, but I want to grow a team and have a little bit more fun from a team and see a team success, right? Do I want to sell the company? That's what everybody asks me now. Of course I'm going to sell the company. That's the end goal of every business owner, right? Mm-hmm. That's the cash out. Now, most people did it at retirement, but now there's models that I think you can even look at and go, well, I can sell now to a model of a private equity, or a model where they give me cash off the table. I can put it elsewhere. I can put it in real estate, whatever. And I can still run my thing and get paid to grow my company and take care of my people. Because you can save this video. I'm not going to sell a company and, run for the hills and leave my people that helped me get there. That's just not what I'm going to do. Am I going to make some money? Yeah, but I'm still going to have some control and say in what goes forward. So I think there's different things that you can do and look at now with your spring cleaning on what you want to do. Maybe your goal is to get out in 3 to 5 years. I don't know what the private equity market looks like now with the interest rates and stuff, but they were giving some crazy multiples. Set yourself back up and go, I'm 52. I want 3 to 5 year game plan. Then I'm going to get out this number, target that number. Don't even look at just what's my number for this year? What's my number over 5 years, 10 years, right? I'm 39, in 5 to 10 years, I'll look at something where they give me something that incentivizes me to continue in the business because I built it up for another 10 plus years where I can stay in the business and control it and have my people. That's my goal right now. Right. And so
that's where you can tell the difference between, managing a lifestyle and building a business. If you're building a business, you're not going to suck out all the money you can out of your corporation, right? You're going to reinvest. You're going to invest in people. You're going to invest in staff. You're going to invest in marketing. And so that's where you can't have it both ways, right? You can't serve both masters at the same time. So you got to decide, am I going to manage a comfortable lifestyle, whatever that means for you? That's cool. Or do I want to build a business? In which case, then I'm going to take out what I need to live, but I'm going to reinvest because I know that's the highest and best use of my money. I get the best return by reinvesting in me and my team and my business. And so you got to take time to figure that out because it's so easy in this business. You just kind of go through the motions and dang, you wake up and it's 3 years from now and your book's $50,000 a year in annual revenue bigger. And that's because of trend. So
yeah. I mean, I think people are sitting back on that, whatever, and that's fine. But if you want more, I think if you invest in, now I'm learning the team side in the people that you have, and you spend the money instead of going, oh, I'm making my book's 400 grand, and if I hire someone, it's 120 grand. Not really, because you're paying them monthly. So you can free up your time and offset their costs by the end of the year, and then you're free rolling. So think about, my thoughts now is how do I make my sales people successful? And, I always, for some reason, this book is always very close. And and I may not even remind him. It's very close to remind me of the fact that most companies make the mistakes of hiring a salesperson and not helping them market and generate leads. And that's the biggest mistake. So right now, all the pressure is on me with new salespeople. The pressure is going to be on them too, but the pressure is on me to generate opportunities for them. And that's what we're focused on from a marketing standpoint. So how do you do that? If you're the salesperson, you got to figure out how do you generate opportunities for yourself, make things easier. But yeah. Are you going to make some staff upgrades? Are you going to outsource? Are you going to use some people to do some of that? I don't even know if it's $15 an hour work anymore. You can outsource it to the Philippines for $5 an hour, $3 an hour. So can you make your account manager's life easier, right? So think of it from this standpoint is you got a great account manager, but there's a lot of burden and stuff that they don't like to do. How would you like them to have somebody that works for them and make their life easier? Why do you think that you need to load them with everything? So hire somebody that is less expensive, which you can outsource to other countries and get great talent for $500, $1,000, $1,500 a month to do all the stuff that they don't want to do. And now they can sit and manage that person instead of doing the work. Don't you think that life would be better for them? And then it gives them more room to grow and handle renewals and do more of the important stuff. Because at the market right now, Craig, what people are getting paid, the taxes, the payroll, the benefits, it's getting a little out of hand. And, you got to start to look to build around some of these good people that you have.
Well, we can always see, John and I always call it the short money and the long money, and you can't confuse the two. And so if you have a problem investing in yourself or investing in your company or investing in marketing, it's because you may not really deep down believe that you can do it, that you can generate the new business, the new leads, the new pitches. And that's okay, but you're going to have to get through it or go to work for somebody, because otherwise you'll just be wandering around year after year after year. And so that's the game, is figure out what your commitment is, have the confidence to know that I can do it, I can accomplish this, or we can accomplish this, and invest that short-term money.
Yeah,
for the long-term gain.
Because when you look at it from a tax standpoint, if you're in the 40% tax bracket like I am, every dollar you make or every expense you save 40% on. So there's a 40% discount on anything that you spend anyway. Craig, if you're screwed like Craig, Craig's probably paying. Craig's getting a 55% discount because he's paying for the sun out there in Cal. Is it more? Is it 57 and a half yet
Yeah,
or
that's
60?
right. Yeah,
They
I
tax you
got
in your
screwed
net,
this
they
year.
tax in your net worth too every year for 3%. Maybe Craig's get a 60% discount. So why not just buy shit? So if you hire a salesperson $100,000, Craig's getting $60,000 off them anyway because he's gonna pay to the government anyway. So think of it that way, and that's kicking the can down the road from a marketing and tax perspective. Is go, if I'm in this tax bracket and I make this mistake, is it really $100,000? Well, no, it's 60,000 because they're taking 40% anyway from me,
Yeah,
right? But I can keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. So how much money are you going to put into it because you're getting a discount anyway when you're that upper tax bracket? If you're not, keep at it. You'll get
yeah.
there.
And the biggest thing, you mentioned it earlier, right? People talk themselves out of it because they think of the annualized number, but you don't pay annually, you pay monthly.
Pay it monthly, and you got to factor in the tax cost, the liability.
It's a slow bleed, and so by the time you write business, even if it took 120 days, you're going to cover it. It's just cash flow timing. You got to live through it. I remember when I first was leaving retail and going to wholesale, I had to completely reinvent myself, right? You met me shortly after that, and I was in debt hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that transition and reinvent myself, because I knew it was just cash flow timing. And so that's the realization you need to come to. Invest in yourself. It's short-term money. The timing means you don't get to buy everything you want to buy, which is probably good discipline anyways. And then you make 10x that in a little while. You got to recognize that.
And then what you do is after you finally you grow it, lower your tax burden. Then when you finally start taking cash off the table, then you put it in some real estate and these other things that you get tax benefit
Diversify
by investing it, and then you lower your tax burden dramatically. And then you talk to your brother on the phone who's out in Japan and he's taxed at 52%, and he don't make a fifth what you make, and he's paying 40-50% higher tax percentage than you because he can't shield his income, take deductions or nothing. So again, some spring cleaning for you. Show sponsor Virtue Health. Check us out, virtuealliance.com. April 18th. We're going to get the link out shortly. We'll have it Monday. Emails will go out. How to sell some prospects in 2023. New ideas, new strategies, simplified down. Less is more. Less is more. Sell the sizzle, Craig, not the steak. See you next week. Same time, same place. Heads Up Advisor. Thanks for joining us every week here. Talk soon.
Yep. Next week. See you.